And welcome back to another worst to best. Now there was a suggestion for a couple other worst to best that I got from someone that I'll get to eventually, but I wanted to break it up because there's other ones I've wanted to do for a while. And one of them is some Kevin Smith movies. Now, I've always been a huge Kevin Smith fan. I love basically every movie of his I've ever seen. Love, not great. Love's not the right term. I at minimum like all of his movies that I've seen. Like I've never actually seen Red State or Jersey Girl. Those two I've not seen. But and Yoga Hosers. I haven't seen that one, which I admittedly heard that one wasn't very good. I like Tusk, love Clerks and Clerks 2. I think I like Clerks 2 even a little bit better than the original Clerks. I love Dogma, love Mallrats. So I very much like Chasing Amy, which will be another one another time. So, but Mallrats is one that when I look at it, things bug me. And not about the movie as a whole, about the characters, certain characters. So I figure for another worst to best to break it up, we'll go with the Mallrat characters. Now, the format I use for worst to best, I don't actually start with the best one and go to the worst one, because if I start with the worst one, then it pretty much just cuts out 50% of the games. Like, who was the worst, who was the best? We already know who the best is, so I'll cut out the tension for, the end of the video. So what I do now is that I start basically with the second best, go down, and then I end with both the best and the worst. So, with that said, let's get to it. The second runner-up for best character, and should note also who I'm using for characters. That's an important thing as well. I'm using pretty much what I consider to be the main cast for the movie. So, obviously, Quint, Brody, Quint's girlfriend, Brady's girlfriend, the Ben Affleck character, and Brandi's dad, or is it Brandi? Yeah, Brandi's dad. They I consider to be the main cast. You also get the underage girl who's like writing the sex story or something. I can't remember exactly. So wait, she's like 15 years old, but she's kind of like a prodigy to some degree. She's basically like studying like the sexual behaviors. Like what? But she's really not a main part of it. She's not even a very huge part of the story. She's got like 2 or 3 scenes. Like when we're introduced to her, when she's distracting the guard, then what happens later on. Like she might show up one other time, but it's nothing serious. The same for like Jay and Silent Bob. They're only kind of just floating around. I can't remember the character's name. The one who was trying to find the sailboat, the schooner. They're really not a huge part of, like, side characters like that. I don't consider part of the main story. With that being said, the second best character in my mind in Mallrats is T.S. Quint. Now, T.S. Quint certainly is, no one's perfect in this world by any stretch of the means. Even the best person isn't like perfect. Quint, he's a good guy. We can tell he's a good guy. He's, even as Brody puts it, he spends most of the day pining for his girlfriend, who we will get to. Obviously, she's lower on the list than he is. And really, he's just trying to find ways of getting her back, because really, she went to be on her father's game show, and he's got a justifiable reason to kind of try to get her back. My problem is that in terms of like growth as a character, he really doesn't change. Ultimately, nothing about him actually changes. He doesn't grow as a person, but he doesn't like degrade either. Or devolve either. He just kind of stays who he is. He's not really posing much of a problem. The biggest problem he's posing is on Sven's game show, which is just, as they even say, it's unoriginal. It's got nothing. Come on. To Brody's day. That's all he's really putting a hamper on. Personally, he's not the most interesting guy in the world. He's kind of supposed to be your average guy. That's really who he's supposed to be. So again, no one of any real, no one is really, what's the best way to put it? And no one is really at fault for the circumstance per se in his situation, except maybe Brandi, who we'll get to. But yeah, he's just kind of your regular. He's kind of supposed to be your average guy in this. Then coming up as our number, we're on 5, so number 4 spot before we get basically to the lower half of the list is Brody, surprisingly. Now, Brody, yeah, personality-wise, he's a bit of an ass. He is a legitimate mall rat. Like, the mall is the place you love. Hell, I'm a bit of a mall rat. I love going to the mall. It's just kind of fun to walk around, look at the stores, pop in and out, all that. But he's, first off, far more enjoyable to kind of be around. He's at least got a fun personality, even if he is a bit of an ass. He really doesn't have much motive. Like, he's not even really trying to get back with his girlfriend most of the movie. Like, he kind of is trying to figure out why she, like, dumped him. But at the end, they even do it at one point. But he's not ultimately struggling with that, because it ultimately works out in the end where she's even like, yeah, what can I say? I love the dumbass. And I mean, can you say that he puts a bit of a burden on his friend? A little bit. Yeah, he does put a little bit of a burden. A bit more than, say, like Quin does. Only because he has no motivation to really be helping Quin that much. And he also suffers from being a bit too much of a comic book guy, like comic book nerd geek, which is why, Quin asked Stan Lee to help him out. It's like, oh, wow, well, thanks. Took that to really help him out. But he is the only one that has the largest amount of growth in the movie. Think about that for a second. When you break down, like, the main cast that we're going to be going over, he is the only one who goes through an actual arc, because eventually he's the one who, he says, okay, do you want to meet my, because one of the big things that was always hampering with their relationship with him and Renee was, you won't let me meet your mother. And he eventually goes, well, do you want to maybe come over for dinner and meet my mom? I can't guarantee she'll like it. And then she kisses him. It's like, yay! So that they're still together as he's hosting that show. So, yeah, oddly enough, he's the only one who goes through a legitimate arc in terms of his growth. Really weird that he would be the one to do it. Now we're in the second half of the list. Now, these are essentially we're in the bottom three now. Now, the one person at the number 3 spot, it's Brandi. Now, when I did this list, because I do it like on a number scale, added up and see where they all end up, I'll be honest, I was like wondering, how low is she going to be? Because personality-wise, she's pretty generic. She's both her and Quin are oddly enough, how I put the picture up there. Yeah, they're the ones over there. Go figure. She is kind of your generic girlfriend. She does not have a huge personality, but she's not supposed to. She's supposed to be a nice person who, dumps Quin's heart for some reason, or breaks Quin's heart for some reason, pines for her, and eventually gets back together with her. She does have a little bit of growth, eventually overcoming, the problems they had, and, them getting married at Universal Studios, Florida. But I'm going to tell you right now, because she's the MacGuffin, that he's pining over the whole time, yeah, she's a big burden on him. What really put her this low, and there's only 2 individuals lower than her, our number 2 and our gold medalist. But what really put her just like in that, ooh, no, you are not that as good a person as people are thinking. Now, she's not an evil person, but I say she's not let me explain. She dumps him because, yeah, they maybe were having a little bit of struggles or whatever, but she dumps him because a girl died that was going to be on her dad's show, and her dad needed a contestant. Now, her dad, who we will get to, don't worry, he's low on the list. He's near our bottom, if not our bottom. Not saying where, but he's down there. Now, her dad, we know, is a jackass. He doesn't like Quin, whatever. He's an asshole. We know that. If you really loved your partner, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever, if you really loved your partner, clearly he loves her. But if you really love, even though he broke my heart, I did it. I don't give a rat's ass. Do you actually love your boyfriend or not? If you loved your boyfriend, and you didn't even bother explaining it to him. I think she said she tried, but she clearly didn't get the point across to him. And even if she did get the point across to him, no, you either love your boyfriend and you don't do it, or you clearly don't love him. You clearly aren't in this relationship for the same things he was in. So you clearly just you're a slave to your goddamn dad. That's what you are. I think that also got brought up. It's been a while since I watched the movie, but if I'm not mistaken, that got brought up too. And when I really thought about that, Watching, anytime I watch the movie, anytime I think about that, I'm like, yeah, that really bothers the piss out of me. As someone who's had only a couple long-term relationships, currently in one, hopefully, we're good. I mean, we're fine, but here's hoping we keep going. But as someone's been there, I would never say, if someone said, okay, look, I need you for this, but you got to break up with your girlfriend. First off, I explained her, I was like, yeah, they're asking me to do this, this, and this. And second off, they probably go, are you getting paid? Yeah, maybe, if I'm getting paid. Okay, well, we're not together right now. Just go on date, say you don't feel anything, and then we'll get back together. That's how I'd probably do it. But still, I probably wouldn't do it because I'm in a freaking relationship. Like, what? She's not an evil person. She's not an ass even. She's just, she doesn't know how to stand up for herself, clearly, and I really don't, she's very pretty, don't get me wrong, she's a very attractive woman, but I don't see why Quin would be wanting to get someone like that back if they were just going to drop him at the drop of a hat. So, ultimately, yeah, she's number 3. Now, our silver medalist, everyone, goes to Shannon, which I honestly forgot his name was Shannon. Ben Affleck's character, let's be honest, Ben Affleck. Now, why does he rank so much, and why does he rank lower? And he did rank significantly lower than Brandi did. And there's a couple big reasons. A, as a personality, he's clearly a smarmy ass. Like he threatens Brody a bunch of times, he even kicks his ass, threatens to do screw his girlfriend in a very uncomfortable place, had sex with an underage girl. Admittedly, he didn't know it, which, to be fair, that's entrapment on her part. Like, what the hell? Like, you get everyone's consent, but do they know you're underage? What the hell? Like, that's effed up when you think about it. It's more on her than on him. No, I don't have I'm better today, but I'm still feeling like crap. My acid reflux. So I've got a bit of a cough and exasperation, but no, it's not the corona. I'm fine. So I'll be kind of doing that through this video and the next what if I got today. But ultimately, he has no growth whatsoever. He's a huge burden on the entirety of this because he's basically trying to get Brody's girlfriend. And he's just a smarmy dick. Like a serious dick. Which why he pretty much comes out number 2. Now we're at the final 2. The worst and the best. Now, let's start off with some good. Who is the best character in Mallrats from a just morality, all that standpoint? Well, that goes actually to Renee, oddly enough. Now, Renee, admittedly, not the most interesting. She's a bit more interesting than, say, Brandi is. Because she's got that bit more of that 90s edge to her. That late 80s, 90s edge where she's a bit more of a smart ass, can easily work around her boyfriend and stuff like that. So she's got that going for her. She has no real motive except the fact that really her boyfriend just won't grow up, at least to a certain extent. And eventually they reconcile with it. But really what puts her over the edge is the fact that she's not hampering anyone in this. Like, she is not bringing down anyone in this movie. Think about that. Everyone in this movie, on some level, is kind of being a burden to someone else. Quin is being a burden to Brody, Svenning, and to a minor extent his ex, then girl, then girlfriend. Brody definitely being a hindrance on T.S. Quin's day and on Svenning's day. And on Renee's day, on pretty much everyone's day to some degree. Brandi, serious burden on the entire movie because she's technically the MacGuffin burden, if you will. Svenning, we'll get to him because guess what? Spoiler, guess who's number 1? But Renee is just going about her day, hanging out with this dude who's at least giving her a bit more attention, stuff like that. Seems a bit more mature, but ultimately is a dick. So Renee, honestly, is just a good person caught around dumb people. And obviously, the worst person here is Svenning. Svenning is, first up, it's Michael Rooker, so he's always a delight. Svenning, personality-wise, is a dick, but he's got a decent amount of, like, that jerk charisma, so he's got that going for him, but his motivation and reasoning is just ass. He's just okay, I want this. I got this game show, which is an unoriginal game show, but he thinks it's going to be good. Like, really, dude? You think this is going to be good? You really? Still, okay, whatever. You think it's going to be good? It's cool. It's cool. Whatever. You know, cram down your dream. But then you get your daughter, who you love, obviously, to break up with her boyfriend, who you hate, just because you need someone. You couldn't go out and find anyone. Hell, Renee would have gone up. She was more or less breaking up with her boyfriend anyway, breaking up with Brody. You could have gotten Renee on there. You could have gotten probably anyone from the crowd if you really wanted to. But no, you had to get your daughter because it will get her away from him. And then you go about, and he goes about trying to apologize and all that stuff. And even though he has them kicked out of the freaking mall. And he's just a dick. He's just a piece of I mean, is he truly evil? No. He probably means well, at least by his daughter. And to be fair, looking at his daughter, I'm like, yeah, Quint, you could do better. I'm going to be honest, you could do better. Yeah, looking at it, it's just like, you can see as a father where he's coming from. Because to be fair, with Quint, he's also kind of in that area of, is his life really going anywhere? But at the same time, he's just an ass the way he goes about it. He really is. But ultimately, that is my list of the worst Mallrat characters. Yeah, the best to worst Mallrat characters. Again, that's not including like Jay and Silent Bob, who are in just about every Kevin Smith movie, so you can't really count that. The guy whose name I forget, who trying to find the sailboat in the pursuers. The magic guy, like the gypsy fortune teller with a third nipple, Stanley. Again, the 15 underage girl doing the sex study, and it was going to be made into a feature movie. Fascinating. But anyway, yeah, that's not including them. So that's my thoughts on that. But who do you think is the best and worst characters of the movie Mallrats? Let me know in the comments below. I'd like to actually hear your, do you think Quint, for instance, is actually the worst character? And what would your reasoning behind that be? I'd be interested to hear that. Or do you think actually Michael Rooker's character is the best character in the movie? Let me know on that as well. And again, by the way, this is not to say any of them aren't entertaining. Like, Michael Rooker's obviously damn entertaining. But as a person, as a character, he's an ass. And by a moral standpoint, he's technically the worst character in the movie. Until then, though, that's my thoughts on that. Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Like, comment, share, subscribe. I'll be back a little later with What If. Thanks for watching. See you next time.